Hey everyone, hope you had a good Christmas, hope you had a good holiday. I wanted to make a video talking about Star Wars The Last Jedi, or Episode 8. Now, I won't go into every detail on everything, but just know that I will talk about spoilers, so if you haven't seen it by now, stop this video, go watch it, and then come back, see if you agree with what I talk about, disagree. I am fine with people disagreeing with what I think about the movie. I did like The Last Jedi. I may not be a hardcore Star Wars fan. I would put myself more as a casual fan. Maybe some people are already saying like, oh, he's a casual fan, he doesn't know what Star Wars is about. But I know enough to know why people dislike it, and I understand that. And for those people who didn't like The Last Jedi, it doesn't erase what came before, like the original trilogy. So, I don't know, it's hit or miss with some people, but for me, I enjoyed it. So let's get into like three key things I want to talk about. Not in any kind of ordered in any kind of importance, but I think the first thing I want to address is Canto Bight. So that's the planet, the casino planet that Finn and Rose go to find a code breaker to break into Snoke's ship to disable the tracker that's tracking them, that tracked them through lightspeed. So Canto Bight itself, the planet itself and the environment and the setting itself wasn't bad, but I agree with a lot of people that say it was very filler kind of, like it felt too long. There could have been some way that they could have like streamlined that Canto Bight setting so that it wouldn't have taken too much time out of the movie. And Rose did have a moment where she could really like talk about her past and her childhood growing up, like the First Order taking advantage of, I guess, what they were doing at the time, or I guess it was more leaning towards war profiteering. And she was saying how Canto Bight is like at the center of a lot of these rich people who look glamorous and living a glamorous lifestyle, how they profit off of the war, or off of war itself, right? That is their business. I did kind of like, however, how Benicio del Toro's character turned that discussion into how not only were the First Order getting weapons, but also the Resistance. It's kind of like how it is a bit of a gray area in terms of who profits from the war, who receives all these weapons, and that was a pretty interesting perspective. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is Vice Admiral Holdo. While I did enjoy a performance, I have a little bit of mixed feelings about Holdo. As a character, they introduced her as like someone who's great, who did a lot of great deeds during like past like wartime, I guess. The whole thing about her not wanting to tell the plan to Poe, she could have easily taken him aside and be like, "Don't worry, I have a plan. We're refueling these ships because we're gonna escape to the planet and keep the main ship as a decoy." And Poe could have just been like, "Oh, you have a plan? That's great." It could have happened like that, but I guess they wanted to drive the point home of how Poe is like a shoot first, ask questions later type of character. I didn't really like that because it kind of simplifies Poe too much as a guy who just wants to go and blow things up. Even with the conversation of how like Finn and Rose were telling him the plan of going to Canto Bight to find a code breaker to sneak onto Snoke's ship, and he's like, "We're gonna blow it up, right?" I didn't really like that. I would like to think that Holdo redeems herself by ramming into Snoke's ship and the enemy fleet at light speed. We haven't seen anything like that, and I really like just the visual aspect of that as well. How he cut out all the sound. Rian Johnson cut out all the sound for that scene. And it made sense because it's something we've never seen before. It's an impactful scene. I don't know if that's a word. I don't know if she survived that, right? If she did, that would be a miracle. Oh man, that was one heck of a scene. Why am I getting emotional? Oh no. The last thing I want to talk about is how the whole movie, if they centered around this, would have made a little bit more sense. Rey and Kylo Ren. I feel like I am in maybe the minority, but that I really like Kylo Ren as a character because he comes from this background of these heroes, right? In his birth, or his lineage, I should say. He's Leia and Han's son, and they were, big in the rebellion. And I think in this movie you saw how much more of a complex character he became. Not a villain, but a character. I guess there was so much expectation placed on him because he was Leia's son, or Han's son, right? And I think he's just trying to carve out his own path, even though it might not be the best path because he is, dark side force user, right? But it shows how he does let emotions get to him. I think he's one of the only characters that allows his anger to really come out. not just suppress it and be like, oh, I don't know what to do. But he really lets his rage dictate his actions. Now, in terms of the whole Snoke getting killed scene, I didn't mind it too much because, well, first, because it was kind of a nice surprise. I guess people were expecting Snoke to survive until episode 9. To be honest, he wasn't really built up. He's just like this big, ominous, mysterious guy, but at the same time, you don't really know anything about him, so I guess the impact of his death aren't as big, or there weren't as many big implications of his death, and that's fine with me because it allows Kylo Ren to truly find who he is. And it did give us a shocking scene of Kylo Ren and Rey teaming up for a bit, and that was also surprising. That was a cool scene. I don't know, like those are the kind of the main things I wanted to talk about. Overall, I like The Last Jedi. I like the ideas that it brought, but I know there are a lot of things that this movie didn't do right, or that it didn't hit the mark, I guess. For example, like Finn and Poe don't get much character development. They're just there to kind of service the new characters. Poe with Holdo and Finn with Rose. And the whole like Rose kissing Finn was a bit rushed. But other than that, The Last Jedi was in some ways a fresh take on the Star Wars universe, even with the idea of the Force. Like how Luke did a Force projection to kind of distract Kylo so that the Resistance can escape. That was cool. I don't know, like, I know this movie is very divisive, and I know a lot of people like it for certain reasons, and some people don't really like it, but I have to commend Rian Johnson for doing what he did with this movie. Now, was it perfect? No. But it did introduce a lot of new ideas, and it did give us, like I said, like a fresh take on the Star Wars universe. So that's what I kind of wanted to talk about. I know my thoughts are kind of scattered. I should have been more organized, but what do you guys think? Tell me what you think in the comments, and if you like what I talk about, give me a like, give me a thumbs up, and just subscribe if you want more of this. But yeah, here's to 2017. It was kind of a rough year, but let's look forward to what great things can come out of 2018. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.